I would say to you with that, because you can't just up and quit, right? Because somebody got to pay the bills. So I get it. So that would be my advice to you in a standpoint of work is if you're a frontline staff, then you need to reassess yourself and see, is this particular job lining up with what I'm trying to do and where I'm trying to go? And if it's not, then we need to start looking for those industries that are. I would say home responsibilities a lot. But if I got, spouses out there with each other, it's about balance. And again, for my men folks that's on here, women folks on here, you may agree and disagree with me, but I don't believe in that gender responsibility in a home. If the house is dirty and it needs to be clean, who cares who cleans it? It needs to be clean. Now, if you got more time, clean it. But if we're both working, we're both contributing and stuff, and I'm tired, you're tired, then we help each other. So with responsibilities at home, you can't just, foregoing the dishes being in the sink. That's one of my pet peeves. But things like that. But with the responsibility, just depends on your dynamic of your home. But it's all about talking. If you got that partner, talk that thing through. Sit down and map that thing out. Here's what, is overwhelming me. When you leave all your clothes here and they all in the floor and yada, 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 it's overwhelming me because I don't like all this clutter. So I just think it's just about being honest with that situation. And so we can't just walk away from it because it's not a people problem. Sometimes it's responsibility, the bills, all that stuff. I think it's important, right? Because to each his own, everybody's household's different, but to each his own. But I think that's one way that you get a chance to breathe is to sit down and map that thing out. What's overwhelming you in the house? Is that something that your partner can help you with? Or is it something you need to reassess yourself with? So that's what I would say to you from a
And I know we got 5 minutes.
I'm so sorry.
To cut you off by
Sorry.
because we do have a minute. I did not want to look like we was overlooking
Oh,
the men.
sorry.
So he is speaking from a man perspective. A lot of times when you're a man in certain positions, we're expected to be strong all the time and not show any signs of weakness.
And shame on us.
Yeah,
Shame on us.
yeah.
I'd say that.
Because I think it was kind of asked something.
Apostle
Apostle Woods had posted something earlier, and this
Mhm.
is my response. That is so true, and like she said, shame on us women. Not all, but shame on us. I'm gonna say us. Because it is like that. That if a man even cries, right? Like, oh, you're not strong, you weak. Why you crying? Suck those tears up, man. That stick your chest out, right? And you guys are human just like us. You got the emotions just like us. So why are
Mhm.
you no? So as I mentioned before, it's okay for you to show emotion. And then even when you're with a spouse and you're married or even a relationship, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever the case may be, significant other, whatever that is, um, when someone is able to show you their vulnerability, like Lyric had mentioned before, vulnerability is not weakness. When someone entrusts you enough to share and be vulnerable with you, that means you're their emotional safety. And when someone is your emotional safety, they really trust you enough to let down all their weight, to drop all the weight, to let down all the barriers to be able to share with you. And so if they're able to do that, please, 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 please don't mess up that emotional safety and make it an emotional hazard or a danger zone for them where they're like, "Oh wow, you're not even hearing." Please listen. So that is shame on us. But um, I would say I don't think it's a sign of weakness. I look at it as you knowing that you have an emotional safety somewhere, whether that's in a person. Sometimes like emotional safety being dogs, like people really do have their animals where they're walking with a dog and be like, "Oh, this is my Lord, I'm getting a blank. What the dog's called?"
You just said, service dog.
Yeah, the service dog. But I was looking for something else, but I know what I'm talking about. But anyways, you'll see them with
Emotional
like a
support.
dog is a man's best friend, but it can also be a girl, a woman's best friend. But I'm just saying, like you also have like certain service animals that they're your emotional support animals. That's what I was looking for.
Okay.
The emotional support animals, and that stuff is real. So sometimes not even in a person. Sometimes people find it in animals. Sometimes people find it in places you go to, like your favorite restaurant or just have coffee, and that don't mean that that's a sign of weakness. So,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
It's true though. Y'all are definitely in positions,
Mhm.
and we really need to kind of change that narrative and switch the narrative on it.
Yeah.
Because that's very, very prominent, especially in African American men, especially. It's in men too, but then there's a higher set when it comes to African American men as well, just with history and things um, that y'all been through and that we can see from the time to time. So I would agree with that. And then lyric also, I did have some examples just in case if it wasn't any questions where your question you was talking about with life demands. Also, I had it written down too from the workplace leaders and like caregivers, right? The emotional weight of caregivers for others, right? If you have a mother who's constantly giving, constantly taking care of the kids, or checking in on the family members, or if you constantly have a man, because sometimes there are men I have worked with where they're the primary caregiver, that's constantly taking care of everyone else, right? And they're helping their friends through their problems. Everyone's seeing them as strong, but internally they're exhausted. And then like one day something small happened, like the child could spill a drink or someone just bumps into them. It can be a small, just hey girl, hey boy, whatever. And then all of a sudden they just kind of like snap and becomes overwhelmed, or they just start crying like, oh my god, I can't do this. It's because their mind and emotions got overloaded from constantly giving without rest. And so an example for a reset would be kind of setting aside small moments for themselves, right? The quiet time, the prayer, the journaling, even sitting in silence just for a few minutes each day, right? Because caregivers are often forgotten, right? And they deserve care too. Even though they're giving care to somebody else, they also deserve care themselves. And I've seen that firsthand with my Aunt Wendy. So I always commend her for that for my grandma because they deserve care too, which is why I love on her the way I do. And then also with church leaders, and I know it's supposed to be 8, so it's not gonna let me edit my stuff right, but it's okay. Church leaders, right? When you hear bishop or pastor, ministry leader, like sometimes they are also emotionally drained too. You gotta think about they're praying for people, they're counseling, they're teaching, organizing church events, all that stuff, and like giving spiritually to others. So probably they begin to feel spiritually drained, and that is such a thing. I don't care what nobody says, you can feel spiritually drained. And because rarely they get time to really sit quietly with themselves and just with God because everyone is always pulling on them or calling on them, right? Sometimes we act like they are guys instead of going to God, but that's another thing. But that's a spiritual burnout. So I'll say a reset example for that as well. It's just like taking intentional time to reconnect with God personally, right? Not just preparing messages or helping others, but also like really, really restoring your own soul.
Yeah.
Just a little nugget for you.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, because you can still serve God, faithfully, wholeheartedly, but you still need moments where your own spirit needs to be restored.
Oh, I know that.
Like you got to get it
It's
restored.
it's a must.
Yeah.
It's a must. And it does happen. And you can tell when someone's in a burnout stage. You can. So we have to do our job to uplift our leaders and make sure we're not adding to that unnecessary stress.
Yeah.
But they do have to recognize it too. And I mean, when you think about it and you look at TV and different things that you hear, it is so many pastors walking away from the pulpit. It is so many of them committing suicide and just really just going out their mind. And a lot of it is because they were overwhelmed and just didn't know how to raise their hand.
Yeah.
Jesus didn't ask us to be him. He asked us to be the servant, right?
And this is for, I didn't mean to cut you off, but this is for the young people. And sometimes there's older folks that be on social media all day long, but this is for the young people, again, overstimulated, but like in a, as we call it, a digital world, where you're constantly connected to social media, school pressure, expectations from families, right? Or trying to figure out your identity and your purpose, because that is a norm that we go through, right? When we're trying to figure out identity and our purpose. But when you're scrolling through social media, we mentioned this before, you can compare yourself to others. You begin to feel anxious or inadequate, right? And so the psyche response is that, okay, I'm overstimulated and now I have emotional pressure and or the peer pressure, right? But a reset example, and I encourage you to do, is to take breaks from social media, right? Spend time doing activities that bring peace. Like, it's okay to take a break and do something that you actually love, that bring you peace, not that bring others peace, but bring you peace, and start focusing on your own personal growth rather than comparison. That would be my little nuggets there when it comes to a reset example for the young people in just today's society when you're feeling overstimulated, right? Because young people today often need to learn, how to quiet the noise around them. Sometimes we want to join in on the noise and stuff, but sometimes, it's okay to quiet the noise. What did I say I had came up with and I was telling you? What was it? Oh, peace over proven. That's gonna be a title. Peace over proven. You ain't gotta prove yourself to nobody. Be quiet. Choose your peace. It's peace over proven. Proven to expectations, or proven to other people's expectations. All that you don't have to prove yourself. Just choose your peace over proven, and let God handle the rest. And then I'm gonna end with this. This is for the strong friends. This is for me, some of my friends. Morg, this is for us. So many times in the group, right, your friend group, you may have this one person or certain people that everyone would kind of go through, right? They listen, they encourage or give advice. But when that same person is struggling, they don't feel comfortable reaching out because everyone expects them to be the strong one. So eventually you feel emotionally drained and you feel alone. And the PsycHE response to that is emotional exhaustion, because that's real. From carrying other people's problems. Even with psychologists, psychiatrists, therapists, counselors, also with them too, because they're also carrying other people's problems and helping them guide through the best way of life that they can. And so sometimes that can take an emotional exhaustion on you too, because now you end up, you're not supposed to, but it can become emotional draining for you. So sometimes a reset example would be, it's just to, begin opening up to trusting people and allowing themselves to receive, support as well. And when I'm saying their stuff, I mean in ourselves, allowing us to receive support as well. Of course, in certain professions, you can't tell or talk about certain things because of confidentiality. But certain things you can allow yourself to open up to you that's dealing with you personal. And so that's just a little nugget to the strong friends out there that everyone wants to call. And so that's all I have to say. You have anything to say?
Nope. I think that was good. I think you hit everybody.
Okay,
I think that was good.
Oh, wait, for the little ones. Okay, little ones, if you're out there watching, because there'll be some views on TikTok. I don't know who they be. But for students who be juggling work, you got extracurricular activities. Again, it goes with that family expectations and trying to plan your future. At some point, you may start feeling like you're failing, even when you're doing your best. And I will test, because again, I said I'm not a perfectionist. I don't think I'm perfect, but I did have perfectionistic tendencies. And I can attest my PsycHE response to that is me having stress and performance anxiety. Like, I will overthink a question so many times and I know the answer, but I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm rethinking like, oh no, they're trying to trick me. Okay, it's gonna be this answer. Well, no, it can't be that easy. Why would it be that easy? That's how I used to be, y'all. And it used to, I know it drove my mama insane. It used to drive me insane with stress and performance anxiety. So I would say a reset example would be learn to take breaks. Organize your priorities. Organize, like literally have a list from 1 to 5. And if you can keep growing with your list, 1 to 10, other different things. Organize your priorities and remind yourself that your worth is not based on your achievements. Hear me again, y'all, for the ones that are in class, even students, for college students. It don't matter, young, middle-aged college student, even for the older folks who are still in school. But just the pressure to succeed. Just know your worth is not based on your achievement. Okay, your mind needs balance. It doesn't need consistent pressure. And that's all. That's it. That's all. So it has.
Everybody.
Yes, I think I did. But if I did, y'all have some other ones, let me know, and I'll write it in the chat to see how our PsycHE responds, and then how we can reset it and reset our PsycHE back. So I actually enjoyed this.
I did too.
Are you gonna reset?
Oh, I'm definitely resetting.
I'm resetting.
I
might have to reset again a few more times, but I'm resetting.
Yeah, I'm resetting. All right, y'all. Well, we love y'all. We've enjoyed this time with you all. We went over a little bit. We do apologize for that. We're trying to get on time and end on time. But we thank y'all for joining us. Please, 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 please invite your friends, family, anyone that you think can benefit from listening to this. We are here every Tuesday at 7 p.m. And then on Fridays sometimes it'll be 7, sometimes it'll be earlier. If we go live, it can be earlier than 7. But if we don't go live and we do a pre-recorded, it will come on at 7. But we just invite you, if you haven't already, join our community. And again, we are here to help everybody from every walk of life. Everyone's welcome here in this community. But we hope that you've enjoyed this segment with us today. And remember, this was all about you needing a PsycHE reset.
Yep.
We love y'all. Take care.